For thousands of years, the galaxy lived under the rule of powerful alien beings known as the Eternals. They were not kings, they were not leaders, they were gods. Their technology was so advanced, people believed they were invincible. No species dared to fight them. Every world obeyed them, every planet paid tribute. The Eternals had not faced war in 5,000 years. But one quiet night, that peace ended. It started in the core of the Eternal Empire, on their holy planet called Volcron 9. The sky was full of stars, and everything was calm. Then, suddenly, alarms began to ring across their capital. A signal had been detected, something strange, coming from deep space. At first, the scientists thought it was an error. The signal was too sharp, too direct, and it came from a dead sector of the galaxy, Sector 17X, where no life had existed for 250 years. The Eternals grew curious. They sent ships to scan the area. What they found made their golden hearts freeze. Ship, not a fleet, not an army. One single ship. It was not big, but it looked dark and strange. Its surface did not reflect light. It had no name, no flags, no markings. It moved slowly, with purpose, and it came straight toward Volcron 9. Eternals watched closely. Their satellites scanned the ship. But something strange happened. Every system failed. The scans showed nothing. The computers shut down. Even the backup systems refused to work. Then the ship sent a message. Just one. It said, "We are here to speak." The Eternal High Council gathered inside the great sky chamber. 13 tall, godlike beings sat around a floating crystal table. Their bodies glowed with golden energy. They looked at the signal again and again. The voice was not robotic. It was human. But that was impossible. Humans were extinct. The Eternals had destroyed them 250 years ago. Earth had burned. Their cities had turned to ash. Their leaders were killed. Not one human survived. At least, that's what the history books said, yet the voice in the message was clearly human. Lord Sifar, the eldest Eternal, looked at the others and said in a cold voice, "This is a trick. Nothing more. Perhaps some rebel trash using old human recordings." But his brother Lord Kalor wasn't so sure. "That ship," he said slowly, "it broke our scans. It is not rebel technology. It's something else." "Then let us destroy it," said Lady Varian, angry and proud. "No ship comes near our holy planet and speaks in a dead tongue." The council agreed. They ordered the outer defense cannons to target the ship. The warship still did not move. 4 giant plasma cannons on Volcron 9 charged up and fired at the strange ship. A blinding light covered the sky. For a few moments, nothing was visible. Then the light faded. The ship was still there, not a single scratch on its surface. The warship sent another message. This time it was a short sentence in old human language. The Eternal translators worked quickly. When they decoded the words, a deep silence filled the room. The message said, "You burned our home. We have not forgotten." The council stared at each other. "How is this possible?" asked one of them. Before anyone could speak, something terrifying happened. All across the Empire, on every planet, in every station, in every mind, people heard a voice. Not through speakers, not through devices. The voice came inside their heads. It was the same human voice. It said, "We remember everything, even your lies." On Volcron 9, the sky began to change. Clouds twisted into strange shapes. Light bent in the wrong direction. One of the Eternal priests fell to his knees and screamed, "That voice! That voice! I heard it 250 years ago! It was on Earth, the day we destroyed it!" The council started to panic. "Impossible!" shouted Lord Cypher. "This must be some dark weapon, some ghost technology." They tried to contact their fleets, but all communications were dead. The warship stayed in position. It did not fire. It did not move. It only watched. A young Eternal soldier in the command center whispered, "It's waiting." "Waiting for what?" asked his commander. The soldier looked at the dark ship and answered quietly, "For us to remember what we did." Outside, a small panel on the ship opened. A glowing object floated out. It was small, just the size of a fruit. It flew calmly toward one of Volcran 9's moons. Then, with no sound, the moon exploded into dust. There was no warning, no heat, no energy detected, just silence. And then, nothing. Panic spread across the Eternal Empire. They had never seen such power. Not even in their oldest wars. This was not just technology. It felt like something more. Something alive. Something angry. Lord Kalor stood up and spoke slowly. "This is no ordinary ship," he said. "It carries ghosts, and they have come home." The warship sent one final message before the screen went black. "This is not war. This is memory." And then silence. But in that silence, the galaxy trembled. The ghost ship hovered in silence. No movement, no energy detected. And yet every planet in the Eternal Empire could feel it, like a storm waiting to break. The message from the ship still echoed. In their minds, "We have only just begun." Across the Empire, fear spread like wildfire. On Volcran 9, the Eternals were no longer acting like gods. They were afraid, angry, confused. But one thing was clear to everyone now. This was not a normal enemy. This warship spoke with the voice of a child, Ava. A human child who died 250 years ago during the fall of Earth. The Council of 13 gathered again. The chamber was dark, no lights. Just holograms of the ghost ship spinning slowly above the round table. "We must destroy it," growled Lady Varian. "We tried," said Kalor, "and lost 2 ships without a fight." "It's a message," whispered Lord Thalan. "This ship is not just a weapon. It is their voice, reaching across time." The others looked at him. What voice? The voice of the dead. Silence. Then something terrifying happened. All across the Eternal Empire, people began hearing whispers. In the streets, in ships, in their dreams, voices, human voices. Some were crying, some were screaming, some were whispering words in the old human language. Words like mercy, help us, you promised, you lied. The Eternal translators worked day and night. They decoded the whispers, and what they discovered chilled them to the core. The voices belonged to real humans. Humans who had died on Earth, their last words, their final screams, their lost messages, recorded in the moment their cities were burning. The warship was broadcasting them to the entire galaxy. It was not attacking with weapons. It was attacking with truth. The Eternals had erased the history of Earth. They told the galaxy that humans died in war like any other species. They never spoke of the betrayal, the promises broken, the peace talks that ended in fire. Now, the dead were speaking. Lord Sifar slammed his fist on the table. "This is a trick. Some rebel spy has created a weapon using human data. We must destroy it completely." But then, a message appeared in the sky, not on screens. In the sky itself, above Volcran 9, the clouds twisted. Lightning cracked in silence. A burning image formed high above the planet. It was Earth. Burning, cities exploding, oceans boiling, people running, children screaming. A hologram? No. This was a memory, a living memory, shown to all. The Eternals watched in horror as they saw. Their own warships bombing cities, their own soldiers killing civilians, their own voices shouting orders. They had told the galaxy that humans attacked first, but this showed the truth. The Eternals were the monsters. And then, the girl. Spoke again Eva. Her voice echoed across every eternal world. You promised to help us. You sent ships in peace. But your peace was fire. We waited. In the shadows. In the silence. And now, we have returned. Panic broke out. Citizens demanded answers. Soldiers began to doubt their leaders. Some even removed their armor. Across the empire, statues of eternal gods were burned, pulled down by angry hands. The truth could not be stopped. In the central temple of the Eternals, a high priest fell to his knees. He cried, "The dead are speaking, and we have no answer." In space, the ghost ship opened a small port again, but this time it did not fire a weapon. It released something, glowing. 1,000 small orbs floated from the ship. Each one carried an image, a face, a human, men, women, children. Each orb told a story. A teacher who saved students from a collapsing building. A mother holding her baby in the flames. A scientist, broadcasting Earth's last message while her lab exploded. The orbs spread across the galaxy. Billions of beings saw the stories, and for the first time in history, the galaxy wept for humans. Back in the council chamber, Lord Thalon whispered, "This is no war. It's a funeral, and we are standing in the fire." The Eternals knew now. This ship wasn't powered by engines. It was powered by memory, by pain, by the souls of the dead, and it had only just begun. Across 1,000 worlds, the story of Earth's destruction was no longer a secret. The human warship, silent and alone, had exposed everything. It spoke with the voice of the dead. And now, it was coming closer. Orbiting above Volcran 9, the ghost ship had not moved for days, and yet it felt alive, as if it were watching, waiting, thinking. The Council of 13 had tried everything, attacks, scans, code injections, but nothing worked. The ship had no power source, no engine core, no life signs, no AI. It simply existed. Lady Varian finally broke the silence in the chamber. "I say we board it." The room went cold. "No one has ever returned from touching that ship," Lord Kalor warned. "That's because we sent soldiers and machines," Varian replied. "Now, we send something smarter." The council agreed. A team of elite Eternal. Explorers, Voidwalkers, was chosen to enter the ship. They were the best in the galaxy, trained in darkness, fearless. Each wore advanced armor with full-body protection and neural shields. Their mission, enter the ship, scan it, and return with answers. A stealth shuttle carried them toward the black vessel. As they approached, their scans failed again. Everything turned static. But strangely, the ship did not attack. It opened a door, not cut open, not broken. It simply welcomed them in. The Voidwalkers entered, and what they saw inside made no sense. The inside was bigger than the outside, much bigger. A vast, dark corridor stretched into nothing. Walls looked like metal but were soft to the touch. Strange. Symbols glowed faintly. Human letters, numbers, names. Some were burned into the walls, others floated like mist in the air. "Are we inside a ship or a grave?" one of them whispered. As they moved deeper, the air changed. It grew cold, heavy. One Voidwalker removed his glove and touched the wall. His body collapsed instantly. Not dead, frozen in time. Still breathing, still conscious, but unable to move. The others tried to help, but his body couldn't be lifted. The wall had taken him. Then they heard it. Footsteps. Soft, slow, human footsteps. They raised their weapons. A figure appeared from the dark. A girl, Eva. She looked just like the hologram. 10 years old, calm, sad eyes, but her body glitched, flickered, like a memory. Like she wasn't real, or wasn't only human. She spoke. "You should not be here." One of the soldiers stepped forward. "We came for answers." Eva looked at him. "You came for control. That's what you always wanted." The soldier said nothing. Eva walked toward the wall. "This ship is not made of metal," she said softly. "It is made of us, of what you did, of every scream, every broken promise, every child who never got to grow up." The team looked around. Now they saw more clearly the walls. They were covered in faces, human faces, frozen in moments of pain, fear, love, and loss. Thousands, maybe millions. This ship was a tomb, a living memory. Eva placed her hand on the wall. "I am not alive," she whispered, "but I remember. We all do." Then the ship began to shake, gently, like a heartbeat. The walls pulsed with light. The Voidwalkers tried to send a signal back. Nothing. They were trapped. Eva looked at them one last time. "You took everything from us. Now you will carry our truth." The lights exploded, and then silence. Outside the ship, nothing changed. No energy spikes, no movement, but inside. The Voidwalkers were gone. No screams, no bodies, only one thing left behind. A small, human doll, old, burned, missing one eye. It floated gently toward the open door, and then the door closed. Back on Volcran 9, the council waited for updates, but none came. Only a final message from the ship. "We remember everything. Now, so will you." Lord Thalan stood and whispered, "This ship is not a weapon, it is justice." The ghost ship turned slowly in space, and for the first time, it began to move, not toward the Eternals, but toward the rest of the galaxy. The ghost ship moved, slowly, silently, but the entire galaxy felt it. Planets paused, space traffic stopped, stars seemed to dim. Wherever the ship passed, it left behind a message, not in words but in memory. A wave of energy spread out from the ship like ripples in a black ocean. When those ripples touched a planet, people began to see. See what happened to Earth. Every being, alien, robot, or hybrid, no matter the species, saw visions. Visions of fire, of betrayal, of humans screaming as their cities turned to dust, of Earth dying while the galaxy watched in silence. Even those who had never heard of humans fell to their knees, weeping. Some screamed, some prayed, some broke their own machines in guilt, because what they saw was real and horrible. In the golden halls of the Zanari Empire, a noble queen fainted as she saw a vision of a little boy burned alive while holding his father's hand. In the robotic core of the Tyrex cluster, warbots malfunctioned from emotional overload. They could not compute the pain they felt. Some even self-destructed. On the peaceful world of Varnus, the leaders of 12 different species gathered. "This is not a warship," one said. "It's a cry from the grave." Another replied, "It is also a warning. What we allowed the Eternals to do, it lives on." The galaxy was changing. Some wanted to help the ship, others wanted to hide, and a few wanted to stop it. Back in Psi, eternal space, the Council of 13 was breaking apart. Members were resigning. Citizens were rising in protest. Statues of eternal heroes were being destroyed in every major city. Their lie had been exposed to the stars. Lord Thalan stood before the council, his voice calm but sharp. "We destroyed a world and buried the truth. Now the truth walks among the stars." Kalor shouted, "This thing is dangerous. It's poisoning minds across the galaxy." "No," Thalan said. "It's waking them up." Lady Varian stepped forward. "Then let it come. If the galaxy sides with the humans, we will crush them all." But even she looked unsure. Meanwhile, the ghost ship approached a planet named Draven. once a human ally, now controlled by the Eternals. As the ship entered orbit, no weapons fired. No threats were sent. Instead, something beautiful happened. The sky turned golden, rain fell, shimmering like light. People stepped outside, and in that golden rain, they saw memories. Good ones. Human children playing, laughter in schools, families. Around dinner tables, music from Earth, love, peace. Before the war. Before the fall. For the first time, the galaxy saw what humanity was. Not just warriors, but artists, dreamers, lovers, explorers. The Draven people wept openly in the streets. They built a great light beacon and sent a message. To the ghost ship, we are sorry. Earth will not be forgotten. And then, something changed. The ship blinked. 1 second, gone. Next second, it reappeared. Not above Draven, but near Vandax, an eternal prison world where the last human survivors were said to be kept 250 years ago. But that was just a rumor, a myth, or so the Eternals claimed. Now the galaxy watched as the ship began descending toward Vandax. The message was clear. If any humans are still alive, we are coming. Back on Volcran 9, the final words of the day appeared across the main capital tower, written in human English and the language of every known species. You erased our names, but now the stars remember. The ghost ship hovered over Vandax, a dark world, cold, hidden, not on any star maps. The Eternals said it was a mining planet, a dead rock. Nothing lived there. They lied. Vandax was a prison, the last and most secret prison of the Eternal Empire. Long, ago, whispers spoke of human survivors, taken instead of killed. Not many, just a few. Children, scientists, soldiers. The Eternals kept them hidden here, for study, for punishment, for silence. No ship had visited Vandax in over 200 years, until now. The ghost ship arrived without warning. It did not speak. It did not fire. It simply dropped something from orbit. A single orb. The orb fell through storms, fire, and smoke, and crashed into the ground with a soft hum. The Eternals guarding the planet rushed to the site. When they opened it, they found a message. 1 sentence. In human language and Eternal script, we are coming for our own. Panic broke out in the command center. General Askar, a cruel and proud Eternal, gave the order, "Kill all remaining humans, now." But it was too late. The ship was already opening its hull. Not weapons, doors. From the shadows of the ship, thousands of small drones flew out. But these were not machines of war. They were memories. Each drone carried light and sound and pain as they flew across Vandax. They projected images into the sky. Holograms of the prison's darkest secrets. A boy crying alone in a cold cell for 30 years. A woman forced to relive the destruction of Earth every night through a machine. A soldier, strapped to a wall, whispering his daughter's name until his voice disappeared. The guards tried to stop the drones, but their weapons failed. One by one, the systems on Vandax began to shut down. Doors unlocked, cells opened, lights went dark, and from the underground prisons, they came. Old humans, thin, weak, eyes sunken. Some walked slowly, some crawled, some could barely move, but they were alive. The last survivors. The Eternal Guards raised their weapons. But the ghost ship spoke for the first time since landing. No more cages. Suddenly, the walls of the prison melted into light, and in a blinding flash, every human vanished, only to reappear inside the ship. Safe. Warm. And then, they changed. The ship wrapped them in light. Their old wounds healed, their broken minds calmed. Their pain became strength. They didn't become superhumans. They became whole. For the first time in centuries, inside the command center, alarms screamed. General Askar ordered full planetary defense, but the ghost ship responded with silence. It didn't fire. Instead, every Eternal on the planet began to see things, hear things, feel things. Voices whispered in their minds, "You broke us. You buried us. Now feel what we felt." And they did. For 1 minute, every Eternal on Vandax lived a piece of Earth's final hour. They screamed, fell, begged, fainted. The pain of Earth was now inside them, not forever, just long enough to understand. Then, everything stopped. The ship rose back into orbit. The humans were safe on board. They stood together now, tired, old, but finally free. One of them looked at Eva. "Why now?" he asked. She smiled gently. "Because now, the galaxy is watching." And with that, the ship turned again. Its next destination, the Eternal Capital, the heart of the Empire, where it all began, where it must end. The Eternal Empire was built on fear. For 5,000 years, they ruled the stars like gods, untouchable, unbeatable, unchallenged. But now their greatest fear had returned, not in anger, not in fire, but in truth. The ghost ship appeared in orbit over Zephyrian Prime, the eternal homeworld. A beautiful planet of gold towers and endless cities. Billions watched the sky as the black ship blocked the sun. No words, no demands, only silence. And that silence was louder than any war. The Council of 13 stood in their high tower, watching. "It's just a ship," Lord Kalor whispered. "No," said Lord Thalan. "It's judgment. The Council sent every ship, every drone, every cannon they had. The sky turned red with fire, missiles, beams, planet-killer weapons, all fired at once, and all disappeared before touching the ship. The attacks never landed. They simply vanished." Then came the voice. Not angry, not loud, just human. "You erased Earth, but we are still here." The ship opened again. But this time, not for war, for truth. Across the entire galaxy, every screen turned on. Every speaker echoed with one sound. Memory, the full history of Earth, every war, every dream, every song, every child, every city. All of it played like a flood across planets, moons, and space stations. The stars remembered, people cried. Even Eternal. Citizens, who had been told Earth was evil, fell to their knees, ashamed of what their empire had hidden. Back in the council chamber, Eva appeared as a hologram. The child, the memory. But this time she wasn't alone. The last human survivors stood with her, old but proud, strong. Lady Varian shouted, "We gave your people peace." Eva answered, "You gave us silence." "Humanity was dangerous," Kalor roared. "We were human," Eva said. "Not perfect, not gods, just people, and you feared that more than anything." Thalan stepped forward slowly. "Eva, what do you want?" The ghost ship blinked. For a moment, it hovered right above the capital city. But it did not destroy. Instead, the lights of the city went dark. Weapons melted into dust. The statues of eternal rulers cracked and collapsed. The people of Zephyrian flooded the streets, not in fear, in freedom. They tore down flags, they raised signs. "We remember Earth. Forgive us. No more gods." Across the galaxy, other planets followed. The Eternal Empire fell, not by force, but by truth, by memory, by one human ship that carried pain across the stars. Eva looked at the council one last time. Her voice was soft. "The dead do not need revenge, only remembrance." The hologram vanished. The ghost ship turned and left. No one followed it. No one tried to stop it, because everyone, every race, every empire, every soul now understood. Humanity never died. It became legend, final line, narration for your outro. They thought they had buried us in silence, but we became a voice the stars will never forget. Humanity was never gone. We just waited until the galaxy was ready to listen. And now, they will never forget our name.